Whenever I used to think about the strongest curse techniques in Jujutsu Kaisen, the first ones that always came to mind were Gojo's Limitless, Megami's 10 Shadows, Yuki's Star Rage, and hell, even Akotsu's Curse Spirit Wrist technique. But one that never really crossed my mind until now is blood manipulation. In fact, when we first met Naruto Shikamo, I thought he was gonna be that guy, and obviously he was not that guy, so it kind of ruined my perception of the technique. However, since seeing Chozo and Yuji in action, my respect for blood manipulation went up significantly. But it wasn't until I properly examine the history of the big three families and the big three vengeful spirits that I realized blood manipulation has the potential to be a top 5 technique. The only issue is, unlike Limitless and 10 Shadows, the true potential of blood manipulation is a complete mystery to us. So I decided to make this video theorizing all of the insane possibilities blood manipulation presents and how Yuji Itadori will be the one to achieve them. And this will include conversations about a full body blood armor and a potential domain expansion, among other things. Now, I don't want to spend ages recapping what we currently know about blood manipulation. If you don't know about things like piercing blood already, then maybe reading just isn't for you. Right, now that I've scared away all the idiots, let's get straight into the full potential of blood manipulation. As you all should know, there are 3 big powerful families in Jujutsu society running all the way back to the Heian era, and each of these families are actually descendants of one of the 3 big vengeful spirits of Japan, of which we know painfully little about because Gege refuses to give us a Heian era flashback. The Gojo clan are descendants of Sugawara Michizane, and they are the holders of the 6 Eyes and Limitless technique. The Zenin clan are the holders of the immensely strong 10 Shadows curse technique and descendants of another one of the vengeful spirits. And finally, there's the Kamo clan who hold the blood manipulation technique, and who could have guessed, they also descend from the final vengeful spirit. Now, we've seen Gojo show us the full potential of the Limitless technique by making the likes of Sukuna cry for his mummy, and we've seen Sukuna use the full potential of Megami's 10 Shadows technique by using big old mummy Maharaga to defeat Satoru Gojo. It's also not the first time a 6 Eyes Limitless user has fallen to Maharaga. There has been a big conflict between the Gojo and Zenin clan through history, and that fight has definitely happened before. And finally, we have seen the famous Kamo family technique used to cut a Super Mario Thwomp in half. Yeah, not really the same level, is it? Well, that's not because the technique is shit, it's just because we haven't seen someone on Sukuna or Gojo's level actually use it before. But that's not to say that there hasn't ever been someone or something capable of using blood manipulation to the same level Gojo or Sukuna could. After all, the inherited techniques of the big 3 families supposedly originated from each of the 3 vengeful spirits. And in the Heian era, the strength of these spirits was not only pretty even amongst themselves, but also comparable to Sukuna himself. In fact, like Sukuna, they were considered natural disasters above all else. I mean, when asked how Gojo compares to all previous 6 Eyes Limitless users, he said he was the strongest, but admitted that Sugawara Michizane would actually be a genuine challenge for him. Just eat that for a second, because it's not the kind of thing Gojo would say lightly. Anyway, my point is, back in the day, there was likely a vengeful spirit capable of using blood manipulation on a level where it could compete with Limitless and 10 Shadows. So that means there is a whole side to blood manipulation yet to be discovered by Itadori, and this recent awakening might have just unlocked its full Heian era potential. By the way, if you think I'm pulling this information out of my arse, then I highly recommend you go and read the JJK fanbook and the light novels. There is so much cool stuff in there, especially about the Heian era. So now that we have established blood manipulation has unseen potential near the level of 10 Shadows and Limitless, let's get right into what this full power actually could look like. The first possible application is actually a very popular theory already, and it does look like it might actually happen very soon in the story. And this potential new ability is a full body blood armor. We've seen Chozo use a very basic version of this against Yuji, except I think Yuji will make it cover his entire body rather than just one section. I think Yuji's gauntlets are actually the first step to achieving this, since they do look like they were actually created with his own blood manipulation. It would also be so cool if he took inspiration from Mahito's true form armor. And yeah, I'm saying true form because I hate calling it the instant spirit body of disgustingly long titles and anime type bullshit. It would work really great with the whole I am you thing if Yuji lands his Black Flash, awakens the true essence of his soul, and then his gauntlets spread to cover his entire body just like Mahito. At Sukuna's current output, it would also make him pretty much dismantle proof. I do genuinely think this full body blood armor is the most fitting and likely new application of blood manipulation, at least in my opinion, although I don't think it is enough to put it on the same level as 10 Shadows or Limitless, so we're gonna keep going with some more ideas. Now, the next idea I had is definitely less likely, but it is still a genuinely realistic possibility, and it is bloodbending. Now, if you're a weirdo and you've never seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, then please kindly f*** off and unsubscribe. I'm kidding, please don't do that. I love you all. Stay, subscribe, like. Bloodbending is basically the ability to control your opponent like a puppet by manipulating their blood. And yes, it is most definitely as broken as it sounds, but that's kind of the whole point of the video. But because this defies an already established rule of only being able to control your own blood, I will add a condition. This is only possible if you manage to mix your blood into your opponent's bloodstream. Now, this genuinely should be possible since anything that you mix your blood with or your blood comes into contact with can also be manipulated, as we've seen from the likes of Kamo's arrows and Gakuganji telling Kamo to mix his blood with the other blood in order to control both. If you remember, right after Yuta used Cleave on Sukuna's face, Yuji spat a crap ton of blood all over his wounds, and then he activated Supernova. But this could also have allowed Yuji to actually get his blood into Sukuna's body and potentially set up the possibility of bloodbending. I mean, imagine Yuji can now direct the blood away from Sukuna's brain, hence disrupting control over his curse technique and reverse curse technique, but obviously not by enough to kill him because of the whole we need to save Megami situation. Honestly, this possibility is definitely my favorite possible application of blood manipulation, and I do think it genuinely makes sense. Like, if you mix your blood into your opponent's blood and it's in their body, then you should really just be able to control them, right? Moving on though, Yuji is related to the Curse Womb death paintings just like Chozo. He also definitely ate the remaining Curse Womb death paintings, so he should be able to access their collective cursed energy and techniques. Even without this factor though, we have seen Chozo connect to his brothers and draw on their techniques as he utilized Esso's maximum winking against Kenny. I think it's pretty safe to assume for both of these reasons that Yuji should actually be able to draw on and utilize the abilities of the remaining death paintings. There are 6 remaining Curse Wombs with unknown techniques in addition to winking, corrosive blood, and decay. That's a hell of a lot of utility right there, and we have not seen either Yuji or Chozo use any of these abilities against Sukuna so far, so I do feel like they're going to come into play slightly soon. Slightly soon? Does that make sense? Yeah, no, it does. Now, in my opinion, Yuji's output is currently way higher than Esso's or Kechizu's ever could be. I am still doubtful about how effective these abilities would actually be in the current fight, but it is a possibility nonetheless, and I do think some of them would come in handy. At least winking would definitely be very effective because it just massively increases your mobility, and like, who the f would ever complain about that, you know? Now, something we actually know Itadori and Chozo can do, but really don't do it enough, is weapon creation. Chozo made daggers and rocket boots from blood, and I believe Yuji made those gauntlets. Construction is clearly possible for them, they just need to have better imaginations and actually do it. I mean, I guess the application of blood manipulation would be the same one needed for the body armor, but why stop there? Why not make a sword or some shit, you know? It's basically a much more cursed energy efficient version of Yorozu's construction curse technique, but limited to only blood as the substance. But as we know from Yorozu's technique, there is so much potential there, and I really hope Gege explores this more because I found Chozo's blood daggers so damn cool. There is so many opportunities for creating just amazing stuff like we saw from Yorozu, yet they're not doing it, and I don't understand why. I mean, I at least hope the blood armor will come soon. I don't think it should stop there, but I do think that is the main one I would like to see if they are going to use some sort of blood construction ability. Okay then, I quickly want to talk about resolving blood manipulation's biggest weakness before moving on to the reveal of my idea for a blood manipulation domain expansion. So obviously the biggest weakness is that it's blood, and obviously you kind of need your blood to, like, you know, live. Chozo doesn't have this problem because he's part curse and has unlimited blood, but Yuji definitely does. And the way Yuji can overcome this problem is via his reverse curse technique in order to replenish his blood and basically just have an infinite pool of blood. Reverse curse technique is actually something Yuji can already do, and that already makes him stronger than blood manipulators like Kamo. The problem with this though is that reverse curse technique takes a crap ton of cursed energy. Although I do believe that Yuji currently has one of the biggest pools of cursed energy in the entire verse, maybe even competing with Yuta, although I don't think he's quite there yet. It's already been stated that he has some of Sukuna's cursed energy from being soaked in it for a very long time, and for the same reason he should now have all of the remaining Curse Womb Death Painting's cursed energy stored up. So yeah, for now, cursed energy should not be a problem for Yuji. However, I do want to point out the possibility that Yuji has not been using a conventional reverse curse technique at all, rather a method of healing via blood manipulation that he learned from Chozo. This would explain how both Chozo and Yuji were capable of healing devastating stomach-destroying injuries that conventional RCT users would not have survived. After all, Sukuna just assumed that Yuji's recovery was due to conventional reverse curse technique, but what's to say that there isn't some alternative method that blood manipulators can use? It was also in this moment that Chozo came to help him and explain the process in a much more blood-related way than we are used to. Some may think this is a bit stretchy, but to be honest, I would find it way cooler than a normal reverse curse technique. It would also resolve the problem of reverse curse technique being incredibly taxing on your cursed energy if you have a way to do it via your own blood. Alright then, it's finally time to move on to the highlight of the video. I have created what I think a blood manipulation domain expansion should be. Hell, I even gave it a name. So now may I present to you Domain Expansion Crimson Horror. Yeah, the name is totally not a reference to the Doctor Who episode called Crimson Horror, but still, I found it very fitting and I like it, so it's gonna stay that way. Now, I really cannot draw or animate for shit, so I'm just gonna have to explain this to you, and you're just gonna have to sit there and imagine it looking really cool. It will definitely look similar to Chimero Shadow Garden by being an endless pool of blood that the opponent is just slammed into. I actually had 2 ideas for the guaranteed hit, so I'll tell you both of them, and you can let me know which you preferred in the comments below. Option 1 is a more conventional option of just simply applying any normal application of blood manipulation as the guaranteed hit, such as piercing blood. It's a very simple yet effective way of doing it, because the guaranteed hit of piercing blood is definitely no joke, and it would be devastating for a lot of opponents. Option 2, however, is a little bit more exciting. Basic applications of blood manipulation, like piercing blood, can still be used freely in the domain, but they aren't the guaranteed hit. Similar to how Yuta can use his swords, but they are not the guaranteed hit of his domain. Instead, the guaranteed hit will involve an application of decay and poison. By standing in the domain's pool of blood, the opponent's cursed energy and output is slowly drained away from their body. This will make it harder for them to fight back against normal blood manipulation attacks and weaken their own control over their curse technique. Being a more complex guaranteed hit, it would also make it immune from the likes of Falling Blossom emotion, which is just a really nice added bonus. Option 2's life drain is definitely my preferred guaranteed hit, but be sure to let me know what you think in the comments below, and if you have your own idea for what it could be, then definitely put that in there too. Now, when I look back on some of these possibilities, especially the bloodbending, I can definitely see why blood manipulation has been held in such high regard throughout history. Out of all of them, the full body blood armor seems the most likely to happen, and if Yuji does take inspiration from Mahito's armor, then that genuinely is nothing short of peak writing. To be honest, I still think 10 Shadows and Limitless are stronger, but blood manipulation can definitely be put up there with some of the strongest techniques in the entire JJK verse. Also, don't forget that these are just theories and ideas. I'm sure Gege can find loads of other ways to deliver on the hype of blood manipulation, and I think if anyone is going to show us its full potential, it should definitely be Yuji Itadori. I actually have another theory involving the importance of Yuji Itadori and the big 3 techniques, and it's coming very soon, so make sure to look out for that. It's going to be amazing, and I think I've cooked so hard. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, do drop me a follow on Twitter. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you very soon for some chapter 257 discussions.